Everybody got out of that situation with their health. We'll see you again tomorrow.
Class is in session. Today, let's talk about the teaser. A teaser is a multi-leg bet where you shift the point spread in your favor. You get better numbers, but every selection has to win. It doesn't matter what you bet if you don't have the insights. Tune into SportsGrid and get ahead of the class.
Can USA overtake Canada and get that gold, Joe?
Absolutely, they can here. And ultimately, it feels like that is the two-horse race. And I think ultimately, Canadians don't really care if their team competes in the luge or the bobsled, Donnie, or anything else. They just want that gold when it comes to ice hockey. And that is the only thing that's going to matter there.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
They cheated.
No, they're not saying
Right?
that. Well, they're not, but they're not really giving a reason on Kraft.
The only two of the voters I've seen, maybe it's more, came out and said why they didn't vote for him. And they said, I'm limited to 3 votes.
Yeah.
And I will always pick a player over a coach or an owner.
Right.
By the way, I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Because that's the guy saying, I'm not afraid of you knowing who I picked. I'm going to tell you why I picked him.
The Craig Carton Show, only on SportsGrid.
But I will say, at 4.5 and over, I've been with covers for 20 plus years now. I've been betting for a long time. When it comes to 4 and 4.5 point spreads, if I'm looking at the favorite, I do not lay the points. I go straight to the money line, knowing that it's minus 200. This has been a no man's land for football betting in the NFL, basically since 2015, since they moved the point after touchdown back.
In-game live, only on
GameTime decisions. We're live on SportsGrid in a major way. Why? They wrote me in. FIU Liberty. This game tips off in about a minute. Over the first half, 72.5 minus 113. That's about as quick of a pick as we have ever given here on this very show. We're live from the decisions desk. Kevin Walsh with you. Excited to be here on the night where the NBA returns. And that is certainly what is going to be taking center stage here for us on this Thursday night. No ranked college action, so it is a 10-pack in the association. And I said, you know what? Let's try and hit the ground running. I've played a side in all 10 of tonight's NBA games. I will, yes, hand up. I don't love every single game. I really, really like a lot of them, but we found ourselves at the window for each of these matchups. There are a few that kind of stand out amongst the rest. You have second half Charlotte, which we'll be keeping an eye on as this team looks to keep the momentum going that they built up. Once we turn the calendar to 2026, they are still without a couple of players due to the suspensions from the fight with the Detroit Pistons. They settle in against the Houston text messages, the Rockets here, and as they enter life ever since these seemingly Durant message leaks that could have seen him taking shots at current teammates. It's going to be an interesting one to follow. Speaking of the Pistons and suspensions, they are still without Jalen Duren and Isaiah Stewart. They play their Eastern Conference rival, the New York Knicks, in Madison Square Garden in one of the most important games of the early... in the regular season, this is probably one of the more important games. If the Knicks win it, you don't have to blow it out of proportion because Detroit is up on the aggregate right now, 2-0 with a near 70-point differential. Certainly it's above 60, I know that much. If the Pistons win, it's going to feel a little interesting in New York. I think that is for certain. We have the Warriors and the Celtics. We know Steph Curry will not be playing in this game. There is a chance Kristaps Porzingis, though, could make his debut for the Golden State Warriors. Of course, traded off of the Atlanta Hawks in the Jonathan Kuminga deal. We will see if he shows up here tonight against his former team. We are also going to look late night at Nikola Jokic up against the LA Clippers as the Clips now settle into the second half here. And they do not have Zubats, they do not have Harden, but they still, of course, have Kawhi Leonard, who's had himself just a really fantastic season this year. So we will be involved in all 10 of these games. I have text messages pouring in. Every game? Yes, Mom. Every single game. We will also give you updates on the Genesis Invitational, where right now Rory McIlroy has a piece of the lead, along with Akshay Bhatia. Akshay looks to stay hot off of last week's top 5 finish. He and Rory each right now at 4 under, and Rory's hot start with a little bit of a cool beginning here for Scheffler has Rory at plus 340 to win the Genesis. Scotty Scheffler right now checking in at plus 600. Colin Morikawa is 3 under at the moment and has himself as one of the top 3 golfers on the odds board as it relates to this number. Okay, Rory went to 5 under. Rory went to 5 under through 11. Solo lead, sits plus 175 using FanDuel numbers for the round 1 lead. Morikawa is at 7. Xander is at plus 850. Quite the gap, really, between that trio and anyone else. Xander Schauffele, let's see where Xander is. For those that do not know, there was a delay in the start here at the Genesis, and that's why some guys are only through 2 or 3 holes. Xander eagled on the first hole, so he's 2 under through 2, which will make him a threat. We'll see how low Rory can go. We'll see if Scotty can battle back. For those that were not with us yesterday, though, Cam Stewart talked a lot about Rory in this tournament, right? And being willing to play the chalk right underneath that Scotty Scheffler line. And those conversations with Cam and the conversations that we had with Brady, it felt to me like it was going to be either Rory's or Scotty's to lose. So I did end up playing both. Now, I played them individually instead of, I know one book we talked about offering maybe plus 210 for either guy. I think especially if you start applying boosts, you could get it to more where it's like either guy for plus 225 or so, plus 240, right? Kind of, depending on how those payouts ultimately all do land. But I have Rory, I have Scotty, I played each other in for first round leaders as well. So I'll be rooting that in. Hopefully most of you are as well. It's a really fun start here to the Genesis. So we're going to be locked in undoubtedly on this Thursday night. What we will also be doing here on a Thursday, despite the fact that there's no ranked college action tonight, try and kind of catch our breath, I think, a little bit off of yesterday's ranked action, which came with quite a lot, I would argue, to really sink your teeth into. The double overtime 232-point showdown between Alabama and Arkansas was one for the ages. Darius Acuff, 1 point off a 50-piece. He scored 41 in regulation. LeBaron Philon chipped in 35-7. It's a result that, for me, I think says both of these teams are fun. Both of these teams can play in the Sweet 16. I don't think either team's actually a true title contender. I really don't. Like, when it's all said and done, cutting the nets down, I really struggle to imagine that Alabama or Arkansas would be able to do that. One team, though, that maybe took a much bigger hit in the belief column after yesterday would be the UConn Huskies. A team predicated on defense gave up 91 to a middling Creighton Blue Jays team, and Creighton just ran them, shot it great from three, got to the line a ton. UConn is a team, though, that I've been interested in, and I think for this group, getting a bit of a wake-up call like this Creighton game projects to be, I have my eyes on UConn on what could potentially be a fourth and final edition when we talk about national title tickets. For UConn, though, my issue is they, more than any team, I really just want to know how the bracket lands, because I don't want to play UConn so much. I don't know if I want UConn more or less if they are up against teams I'm already on, if that makes any sense to anybody. I think UConn is a very, very scary team when you enter the tournament. I've mentioned this a few times. They, last year, in a down year, took the eventual champions right to the buzzer. This group is better than last year's group and is capable of a deep run. What you also saw yesterday was another step in the Darren Peterson saga. 21st half points, 23 total in 18 minutes. Went through his points prop. We appreciate it. 18 minutes. Hit a three in the second half about 5 minutes in. Looked to the bench, said I need to come out, and didn't go back in. And it's just a very, very hard one to wrap our heads around, I think. I think we can all agree on that. I know a lot of people are mad with Peterson. It feels more complicated than that, but for the first time, I have to admit, I kind of get it. But let's get into this NBA board. 10 games tonight. We're live with you right here. It's Game Time Decisions on SportsGrid.
All right, this is the one that always gets me every year. We've been doing this for years in fantasy, and we're going to do it again this year, and there's going to be some fantasy provider that's not going to give a good answer. Shohei Ohtani should only count as one player in every league, meaning you can use him as a pitcher when you want, you can use him as a hitter when you want, buy or sell.
I'll sell this. I think he should count as two. I don't mind the only counts as one, by the way. It doesn't bother me. But I say this because, once again, if you play in a weekly lineup league, you're never starting him as a pitcher. Never. He's always going to be a hitter. Always. All right, the Dodgers have already said they're going to start the season, and David Roberts mentioned he's not for how long, with a six-man rotation. So you're never going to get 2 start weeks out of him. He's only going to get 1. He's too good a hitter to leave out of your lineup. You're in a daily lineup league, it's a little different, right? Then you can use him as a pitcher there. So, and I also want to see the strategy, Craig. We know he's going number 1 overall as a hitter, but where does he go as a pitcher? I'm kind of curious to see what round he'd go with, right? He's, once again, once a week, he's not going to get 32 starts. So you're probably looking at 26 starts here. So where does that put him? Round 3, round 4? I like the strategy of it. So I'd like to see him count twice there. That being said, I don't currently play in any leagues where he can go as a hitter and a pitcher. It's always just one player.
Which makes no sense to me whatsoever, that they cannot figure this out to make him just one player. He's the most valuable player in the world because of what he does. So he should be just one player, which you can just toggle in and out. Figure this out software-wise. Come on. There's never been a player like this before. I mean, I'm hosting Newswire. I'm hosting Fantasy Sports Today. Am I 2 guys? No, I'm 1.
Fantasy Sports Today. Friday, starting at 3 p.m. Only on SportsGrid.
Game Time Decisions live with you on a Thursday night for a great NBA card. We are going to go through these. Should we do one by one, or should we do biggest kind of the top games and then let it spill from there? I think we should just kind of go with brick by brick, because with the NBA back, I'm very excited. I think it's a really, really fun slate for us to jump into. And I say, why not? Let's go piece by piece here on this Thursday night. Sixers-Hawks is where we begin. Philadelphia, a 1.5-point favorite. That money line, though, very palatable at minus 112. And I am playing Philadelphia on that money line tonight at minus 115, a little bit earlier on in the day, minus 112. All good. There's a couple of factors here that make Philly stand out to me, none bigger than the fact that they are coming off of one of the most embarrassing losses that they have suffered all season long. At home to the New York Knicks, they were punched, 49-point loss in that game to New York. And I understand there is an all-star break in between, but if you are Nick Nurse, despite the fact that Joel Embiid is out for this game, you simply must be reminding the Sixers in your most recent effort since that loss at home that you have to step up here tonight against a sub-500 Atlanta Hawks team. And I think that is exactly what the Sixers will do. I think that tonight is one of the, probably have to be, choose your spots with how much you want to really believe in home court advantage, I am sure, in the NBA. I believe in it tonight for Philadelphia. I don't think they're going to fall to 500 on the year at home. I think they get the win at minus 112. No Embiid, no problem. Give me the Sixers. Next up on your slate tonight, it's the Cavs and the Nets, a 16.5-point number. What the circumstances are for this matchup is Nick Claxton is out for Brooklyn, and Evan Mobley is back for Cleveland. Now, this number has popped around to 15.5 in some places, and that, if ultimately is the number you're just getting in on, that is fine, but I did play the 16.5. Claxton being out I'd rather him play, but it is more important that the Nets are getting Michael Porter Jr. back for the first time in a little bit now, because he missed, obviously with the All-Star break, and Michael Porter Jr. is a necessity to give Brooklyn a chance to hang inside this big number, because they're going to have to be able to score with this Cleveland team. I am willing to fade a Cleveland team who feels like they are somewhat being priced at their ceiling a little bit. This team has won 5 in a row. They look and feel dangerous within the Eastern Conference. But it's really now a new group. James Harden changes the dimensions of your basketball team, the usage, who is going to get what and where they are going to get it. And it's something that is probably very easy for Jarrett Allen to acclimate to, because Jarrett Allen is a pick and roll, just go dunk it, right? And Harden loves that, and he'll feed Jarrett Allen. That's why Jarrett Allen had looked incredible, right, since this team added James Harden into the mix. Jarrett Allen, in the 3 games since, has scored 20-plus in all of them while shooting 85% from the field. I mean, it's been excellent for Jarrett Allen. Does he now take a bit of a back seat? Is Mobley looking to roll when he should pop when he should roll? Does he just want simple on-the-block post touches here? I just think that there could be a couple of speed bumps tonight for that Cleveland offense, not to put them on upset alert, but not enough to allow this team to cruise to this 125-point benchmark that I sometimes think they are expecting from the new-look Cavs. I think at some point they can get there, but I just don't think it is necessarily tonight. Hornets, Rockets. This is a 4.5-point number. Totals come up a little bit here, 217.5. I like Charlotte at the 4.5. Now, these teams played somewhat recently within their last 5 games, and Charlotte won in Houston 109-99. What might be more important, though, is knowing that that number was 4.5 as well. Now, the simplest thing would be like 4.5 there, 4.5 here, number's wrong. There are 2 reasons why. One, the suspensions still. No Bridges, no Diabate. It moves your number a bit. The other is Houston was playing on the second leg of a back-to-back when they met Charlotte that night in Houston, and we have just seen that really impact pricing within the NBA. But now accounting for that and the fact that I think this is a Charlotte team who will be very, very focused in making sure that whatever the momentum and mojo they found is not going to be fumbled here, right, in the second half of this season. Maybe a little bit aware, hey, we have Cleveland tomorrow night. That's going to be a tough one, and it's a back-to-back, okay? I think this is a Hornets team who's going to have their head down looking for a win against a Rockets team that I want nothing to do with. This is a Houston Rockets team whose superstar player had a very, very loud all-star break, and I want nothing to do with the Rockets. The Wizards and the Pacers in a tank-off. It's a tank-off. A 15-win team against a 14-win team. No way we should have a road favorite in a tank-off. Plenty of guys missing on the Indiana side, most notably Pascal Siakam. Washington at home should be able to score it. When you look right now, that starting lineup, it's just points. And I understand there's not a lot of defense. We'll see if Andrew Nembhard alone can carry this team offensively to pull off the road win when realistically there isn't much interest in pulling off a sixth road win of the year. I think Washington should be the slight favorite, so we're going to take those 2.5 points. Still plenty more to get to on a Thursday night covering all of the games in the association after the break on SportsGrid.
All right, this is the one that always gets me every year. We've been doing this for years in fantasy, and we're going to do it again this year, and there's going to be some fantasy provider that's not going to give a good answer. Shohei Ohtani should only count as one player in every league, meaning you can use him as a pitcher when you want, you can use him as a hitter when you want, buy or sell.
I'll sell this. I think he should count as two. I don't mind the only counts as one, by the way. It doesn't bother me. But I say this because, once again, if you play in a weekly lineup league, you're never starting him as a pitcher. Never. He's always going to be a hitter. Always. All right, the Giants have already said they're going to start the season, and David Roberts mentioned he doesn't know for how long, with a six-man rotation. So you're never going to get 2 start weeks out of him. He's only going to get 1. He's too good a hitter to leave out of your lineup. You're in a daily lineup league. It's a little different, right? Then you can use him as a pitcher there. So, and I also want to see the strategy, Craig. We know he's going number 1 overall as a hitter, but where does he go as a pitcher? I'm kind of curious to see what round he'd go with, right? He's, once again, once a week, he's not going to get 32 starts. So you're probably looking at 26 starts here. So where does that put him? Round 3, round 4? I like the strategy of it. So I'd like to see him count twice there. That being said, I don't currently play in any leagues where he can go as a hitter and a pitcher. It's always just one player.
Which makes no sense to me whatsoever, that they cannot figure this out to make him just one player. He's the most valuable player in the world because of what he does. So he should be just one player, which you can just toggle in and out. Figure this out software-wise. Come on. There's never been a player like this before. I mean, I'm hosting Newswire. I'm hosting Fantasy Sports Today. Am I 2 guys? No, I'm 1.
Fantasy Sports Today. Friday starting at 3 p.m. Only on SportsGrid.
All right, we got plenty of time to go through your NBA slate tonight. I want to lock in to Knicks Pistons here a little bit, which is a pretty big game relative to kind of the circumstance, right? Like, oh, it's the first game after the All-Star break. It's only February. I think there's a little bit of a buzz here that the New York Knicks need to go out there and win this basketball game, and I think that is totally fair. They have played the Detroit Pistons twice. They have lost each of those games by 30 or more. They lost by 31 once and 38 the other time. And if you'll remember, last year, the Knicks and the Pistons met in round one of the postseason, and it was supposed to kind of be a walkthrough series for New York that ended up a 6-game war, closed out by an incredible Jalen Brunson performance, which, again, was very impressive, but it kind of, I think, set the tone a little bit for this Detroit season. And this is not a Detroit team that I think you want to get in front of lightly, yet I will do that tonight. I don't think the Pistons roll over and die. They don't really roll over and die for anyone. They've only lost 13 games. To kind of give you the full perspective of that, it's the Detroit Pistons, not the Oklahoma City Thunder, have the fewest losses in the NBA right now. It's that the Knicks must respond to how this has looked against Detroit. And the Knicks have had a couple of must-respond spots in very quick order, because they got punched by Detroit and then went to Boston and responded with a 22-point win. And they lost at home in overtime to the tanking Pacers, and then they absolutely steamrolled the 76ers. You could easily say, hey, Kev, you're leaning on some things that happened before the break a little bit too much, and you're entitled to that opinion. Obviously, I disagree. I think this is a Knicks team who has to be looking at Detroit, the number one seed in the conference, first of all, as catchable if the Knicks can get their heads together, right? But more importantly, a team they don't want to give the upper hand to. They, last year, probably had to lean somewhat on their experience and being battle-tested in that postseason series against Detroit. You will have lost all of that, I think, if you allow them to season sweep you, and 2 roll-up losses in Detroit aren't great. I actually think losing to them at home would sting even more. But another reason to play isn't just the narratives, it's the numbers. The Knicks are healthy tonight. They get OG Anunoby back. Brunson's out there. Cat's out there. McCall Bridges is out there. Mitchell Robinson is out there. No Jalen Duren, no Isaiah Stewart. Those 2 absences sent Detroit to Toronto before the break as a 1.5-point underdog. Are the Knicks only 2 points better than Toronto at the Garden? I can't imagine that. I just can't. So it gives me the idea tonight then, the value is on the New York Knicks. And that's how I want to play this here tonight, laying the 3.5. When you look right now, and we've talked about this a little bit earlier in the week when we did some of our second half storylines, but these Eastern Conference odds are somewhat for the taking. It's 4 teams mashed together with Cleveland, New York, Boston, and Detroit. And so much so that there's even been mini separation created. Those odds are updated very recently. Obviously, we can't update them to the second. And of the second, there's been movement, because that's what's going to happen when I think teams are this kind of tightly together. But the Cavs run out. We have to see how it looks, right? With now Mobley back and Harden. Detroit is the 1 seed. Can they keep this level of dominance up? It's a legitimate, fair question. Boston, there's this assumption that Tatum is going to come back, but we don't even know what that'll necessarily look like. The Knicks could arguably be on the most solid footing of the 4, but yet right now sit 4th of the 4. It's a very interesting spot they find themselves in. They're going to need to make a bit of a statement here, I think, tonight at home. We'll see if that's what happens. We're going to take a quick break here on this Thursday night, update you with the Genesis Invitational, continue to break down the NBA card as well, live on SportsGrid.
This is the one that always gets me every year. We've been doing this for years in fantasy, and we're going to do it again this year, and there's going to be some fantasy provider that's not going to give a good answer. Shohei Ohtani should only count as one player in every league, meaning you can use him as a pitcher when you want, you can use him as a hitter when you want, buy or sell.
I'll sell this. I think he should count as two. I don't mind the only counts as one, by the way. It doesn't bother me. But I say this because, once again, if you play in a weekly lineup league, you're never starting him as a pitcher. Never. He's always going to be a hitter. Always. All right, Giants have already said they're going to start the season, and David Roberts mentioned he doesn't know for how long, with a six-man rotation. So you're never going to get 2 start weeks out of him. He's only going to get 1. He's too good a hitter to leave out of your line. You're in a daily lineup league. It's a little different, right? Then you can use him as a pitcher there. So, and I also want to see the strategy, Craig. We know he's going number 1 overall as a hitter, but where does he go as a pitcher? I'm kind of curious to see what round he'd go with, right? He's, once again, once a week, he's not going to get 32 starts. So you're probably looking at 26 starts here. So where does that put him? Round 3, round 4? I like the strategy of it. So I'd like to see him count twice there. That being said, I don't currently play in any leagues where he can go as a hitter and a pitcher. It's always just one player.
Which makes no sense to me whatsoever, that they cannot figure this out to make him just one player. He's the most valuable player in the world because of what he does. So he should be just one player, which you can just toggle in and out. Figure this out software-wise. Come on. There's never been a player like this before. I mean, I'm hosting Newswire. I'm hosting Fantasy Sports Today. Am I 2 guys? No, I'm 1.
Fantasy Sports Today. Friday, starting at 3 p.m. Only on SportsGrid.
All right, game time decisions as we try and see if Scotty can sink a long one. You're going to have to probably settle for par here. We're going to talk some Genesis. We're going to talk some NBA. You guys should, by now, starting to get the idea. It means Kyle Soppe is here in the building. Kyle, it is good as always to talk to you, man. Let's start on the golf side of things. Last time you and I talked, it was, I think with the delay, we're not there yet, though we might be trending in the same exact spot, right? Scotty Scheffler. Yeah. 5-6 shots off the lead. Hey, should we? Hey, should we? How did you play the Genesis Invitational before this thing got underway?
It's funny. I went through my formula, and it came down to 2 guys, and I had to pick. And whenever you have to pick, you always think you're going to choose the wrong one. And I'm very much a single bullet guy. So I kind of refused to bet 2 of them. So I bet Xander outright at the beginning, 20-1. And then we get into the delay. I get more time to think about it. They keep talking about the storm that's going to pass. And I ended up pulling the trigger on Cantlay anyway. I never bet 2 winners, so I parlayed him with the Rockets to juice it up a little bit tonight. But those are my 2 live ones today. Xander had an eagle on the first hole. He's giving 1 back. Cantlay, birdie on the first hole. He's giving 1 back. So we're not exactly trending in a great direction here, but it's early. We got 50-some holes left. I'm not too worried about it. Those are my 2 plays. What do you got?
Yeah, I'm trying to root in, I told you during the break, Rory and Scotty, I know how ridiculous that might sound because it's like, oh, Scotty wasn't chalky enough on his own. You added Rory in. Listen, yes, that is exactly what I did, but I like where I'm at right now. I like seeing Rory sitting right there up at the top, and it'll be very interesting to see if Rory does close, Kyle, as the round 1 leader, which he's currently the favorite to do, is can he wire to wire? It would be quite something if after all these weeks in a row, if finally Scotty hunts down the leader and it's Rory who he hunts down, that would almost be like bullying, I think, at that point.
It would be a great story. I want it on a Sunday. That would be the only thing. If he hunts them down, that means they're not teeing off together on Sunday. If they're going head-to-head, I want to see them on the same broadcast, same hole, every way to the finish here. I mean, Scotty, I don't know what you're supposed to do with him. He's averaging just over 65 on weekend rounds. Like, you just wait till you get there. At this point, you're trying to buy as low as you can. I guess you did that with an early bogey here. But, I mean, Rory looks great. He's supposed to overpower this course. The ball speed is holding up in the elements here. They think the weather's going to kind of neutralize as time goes. So if he's playing with a lead, I mean, Rory's a different cat to try to track down than what Scotty's been doing recently.
Yeah, so, Kyle, you mentioned, using the Rockets as a moneyline parlay piece. What as we go to this NBA slate tonight, it's the first night back. And listen, I know you and I only have recently kind of started to do this, but I've learned first night back, you're not worried. You're going to get involved with a slate. No hangover effect there. But what gives you some confidence in Houston in this spot?
See, some people say the first night back. I say we've had a week to research. So to me, it's really just you're kind of irresponsible if you're not overbetting this slate. So I mean, I've got Houston, and I heard you going before we went to break here on the Knicks, and I'm kind of parlaying them together in a money line situation, playing the same theme. It seems like the Pistons and the Hornets fought like 10 days ago. It feels like it was a year ago, but you're still dealing with suspensions there. And both teams lost front court players that are still going to be out for this game. And that's kind of the angle I'm playing here. The Hornets are 2-9 when they get out rebounded. And 5 of those 9 losses have come by 13 or more points. They just get pounded, and they're missing Diabate. If you're not going to be able to rebound against the Rockets, the best rebounding team in the nation, I think they're going to have all sorts of problems. If you want to play them to lose both halves, that's plus 220. I think you can go a variety of ways. This number started at minus 2.5. It's up to minus 4.5. I don't really care. I played it both ways. I'm in there. And with the Knicks, it's the same exact thing. They're 7-8 when they get out rebounded. But like you said, Detroit's missing all the rebounders. So what happens when they don't? They're 28-12. I think they cover this number. Don't get me wrong. I think these are the 2 best teams in the Eastern Conference, and we're going to see them go back and forth for the next couple of months here. I'm looking forward to that, and I actually think Detroit might hold an edge long term. But tonight, I think it's the Knicks and kind of the Knicks easy.
Yeah, it's funny. I kind of started to go back and forth on the Knicks because Detroit, they're not bullies, but they're certainly not punks. And they will be excited at the chance to make the Knicks feel bad about themselves if they beat them again. I just think the Knicks have a bit more pride than that. I will say, as far as the game between Houston and Charlotte goes, like, you'll appreciate this because of what we've had all week to get ready. I bet every single game tonight. I bet every single game. So I just, like, you know what I mean? Like, I took a chance on Charlotte. Some of it, Kyle, is, and I know it might sound silly, the Rockets might hate each other, or at least their best player. Like, that is on the board with you. Also, the only person who may not hate Kevin Durant is their head coach, because the head coach might share all of Kevin Durant's beliefs. So the Rockets are a team that I'm trying to keep at arm's length right now. I think they're really one of the close. I think they're a huge team to keep an eye on here the first week and a half out of the break.
Yeah, I mean, you mentioned hating each other. Isn't that kind of par for the Kevin Durant mantra here?
Great
like,
take.
He's as talented as it gets. But his teams kind of fall apart mentally. They're talented, don't get me wrong, and I'm going to stick with that talent. Do I wish they had Steven Adams, like a steady force in the middle there? I do. It's Amen Thompson that is just, I can't get over. I'm obsessed with the dude. So athletic, so toolsy, so good at setting everything up. If he can play a ball-dominant role, Reed Shepherd, you see in the picture there, sharpshooter on the outside. I just think they have too much talent here. I'm not a big Şengün guy, but you know, it is what it is. He's talented. He's versatile. He's just hard to watch. But I think they can take care of business here. Charlotte's good. Don't get me wrong. Con Knippel, maybe rookie of the year. I mean, I get that you've got the Cooper Flag element in there, but Knippel looks great. LaMelo Ball was in a car crash, but all seems to be okay with him. Charlotte's legit. They're not going away, but I just think the rebounding edge without Diabate in the middle there, I could see something like a 55-35 on the glass. And if you're telling me Houston gets 15 more shots at it than Charlotte does, I'll take them to cover a small number.
Yeah, I think that's fair. Any props for you on this NBA slate tonight, Kyle?
Yeah, usually more props than outrights here, but we're going to go Derek White over in assists, and CJ McCollum under assists. I really like the assist market. I find that niche markets are kind of the way to go, and I just picked assists because that's what I like to do here. But Derek White is the stronger of the 2 plays. Boston, they don't really score much at the free throw line, which you look at as kind of a throwaway stat. But if you're not scoring at the free throw line, that means you're getting buckets. And if you're getting buckets, those can be assisted on. Derek White has at least 8 assists in 5 straight games when the Celtics score over 100 points. Their implied total is 108. I think they get to that number. And Derek White's handling the load. Jaylen Brown off the ball a little bit here. Peyton Pritchard, a catch-and-shoot guy. So I think Derek White can set up enough to get in that 6-7 assist range to cash just over 5.5. CJ McCollum under 3.5 at Philadelphia. He's averaging 6.5 shots per assist in the first 4 games of February. If you're doing that, you're telling me he's going to take 20, 25 shots to get to this number. I don't think that happens. So under 3.5 assists for CJ McCollum.
Kyle, I'm curious on the Boston side of it. Do you have a strong opinion on the whole Jason Tatum return that we seem to be anticipating here?
I do, and in the sense that I think he can come back and make an impact for the playoffs. But when it comes to handicapping the regular season, the Knicks that you mentioned, minus 135 to win the Atlantic Division. I think if Jason Tatum's going to come back, they're going to slow play that. You're talking a Knicks team that already has the advantage over Boston. The other teams in this division are Philadelphia and Toronto. I don't think either one of those teams really holds a candle to New York in the futures market. So minus 135, essentially to be better than Boston the rest of the way, feels like an overcorrection on the Boston side to the Tatum news, where even if he returns, I think they're going to, play it slow, manage his minutes, no back-to-backs, that kind of thing until you get into the postseason.
Yeah, I was talking to someone earlier this week who kind of mentioned they think Tatum might be used in this super sub 20-minute a night role,
Sure.
and they're going to have to try and my biggest thing is just don't come back then. I am sure, I know I might sound like a wimp, but I'm horrified of this guy coming back and re-injuring himself, and it's what he wants. I thought the Celtics would protect him from himself, and they have no interest in doing that. It is what it is. Kyle, man, we appreciate it. Best of luck on this slate tonight, man.
Thanks, man. You too.
All right, great stuff there from Kyle Sopp. You can catch his work over at Pro Football and Sports Network. Does an excellent job with all of these slates. We get back to the NBA card after the break on SportsGrid.
All right, this is the one that always gets me every year. We've been doing this for years in fantasy, and we're going to do it again this year, and there's going to be some fantasy provider that's not going to give a good answer. Shohei Ohtani should only count as one player in every league, meaning you can use him as a pitcher when you want, you can use him as a hitter when you want, buy or sell.
I'll sell this. I think he should count as two. I don't mind the only carrying as one, by the way. It doesn't bother me. But I say this because, once again, if you play in a weekly lineup league, you're never starting him as a pitcher. Never. He's always going to be a hitter. Always. All right, Giants have already said they're going to start the season, and David Roberts mentioned he doesn't know for how long, with a six-man rotation. So you're never going to get 2 start weeks out of him. He's only going to get 1. He's too good a hitter to leave out of your lineup. You're in a daily lineup league. It's a little different, right? Then you can use him as a pitcher there. So, and I also want to see the strategy, Craig. We know he's going number 1 overall as a hitter, but where does he go as a pitcher? I'm kind of curious to see what round he'd go with, right? He's, once a week, he's not going to get 32 starts. So you're probably looking at 26 starts here. So where does that put him? Round 3, round 4? I like the strategy of it. So I'd like to see him count twice there. That being said, I don't currently play in any leagues where he can go as a hitter and a pitcher. It's always just one player.
Which makes no sense to me whatsoever, that they cannot figure this out to make him just one player. He's the most valuable player in the world because of what he does. So he should be just one player, which you can just toggle in and out. Figure this out software-wise. Come on. There's never been a player like this before. I mean, I'm hosting Newswire. I'm hosting Fantasy Sports Today. Am I 2 guys? No, I'm 1.
Fantasy Sports Today. Friday starting at 3 p.m. Only on SportsGrid.
All right, Game Time Decisions. We are here with you on a Thursday night. Great to have Kyle stop by here. We're going to go through, we've done half of the NBA card. Okay, we'll reset those in just a minute. I will say, if you jumped in with the early blitz package and got yourself a little bit of this Liberty FIU over in the first half, job well done, as this thing is quite the rocket ship early. I've come to learn that my monitor is quite far behind. But we're trending towards potentially 80 points here in the opening half of Liberty FIU. FIU making it a little bit of a game right now with an unbeaten in-conference Liberty Flames. I know there were other looks in the back, Does that extend to a producer play, gentlemen, that we would like to give the lovely people here on this Thursday night? There we go. Austin P, first half team total over the 42 and a hook. That is a 7 o'clock tip in the Ace Sun. Austin P going against North Florida. Feels like a sharp look. I also think there's a Lehigh play somewhere. No, that was years ago. Marshall App State. Let's not talk about the App State Marshall bet. Let's not talk about it. Let's strike that from the record, okay? We're going to strike that from the record. What I also just want to get is quickly the updated round one leaderboards. So I want to just say this. You guys, we're very honest here. I am very bad with last names. Rio we're getting to the point where I'm going to have to sit down and study how to say my guy's name here. He's flirting with another round one leader. This guy's constantly in the mix. Colin Morikawa is 4 under. Rory is 5 under. Rory is a plus 115 favorite right now to be the round one leader, which would be absolutely dreamy. Absolutely dreamy. I'll work on it in the break. Rory is a plus 280 favorite. There is no Doomsday Scotty Price just yet. Let me see, where is he? Did he get to even? No, he's still 1 over. So this will be really, I guess the thing is nobody's shooting like a 10 or a 9 under. So we'll keep our eyes on the golf. Let's get back to the NBA slate. First 5 picks. We'll do best bets at the top of the hour, okay? First 5 picks, first 5 games. This is the 7 to 7:30 window of the NBA tonight. We're going to take Charlotte plus the 4.5, Sixers, Mooney line, Zards plus the 2 and a hook, which, by the way, is very funny and understandable. Wizards fans are upset that I'm backing their squad tonight. They feel like real riders would not be on the Zards tonight. I get that, but the bet is the bet. All right. Nets plus a 16 and a hook spot. Can I get to a game at the Barclays before this season's over? I mean, what's the best remaining Nets game on the slate? If you were to take a look at Nets home game, I mean, Wemby's coming to town. So that's going to be the pricey one, yeah? Yeah. That's going to be the one. Why would people pay a lot of money to watch the Knicks? I guess that's a cheap way to watch the Knicks. Something to look at here. Something to look at. If I disappear next Thursday, I'm at the Barclays watching Wemby. All right? Just saying. Just saying. So just a couple of things to take a look at here with the Nets. And we got the Knicks laying the 3.5 against the Detroit Pistons. 8 o'clock, Chicago, Toronto. You guys know I love this Bulls team. I lay the 6 with Toronto. A road favorite here. A sizable road favorite. This Bulls team, who I mentioned, it's just kind of a glorious, bunch that we've got here. It's a brand new team. It's just, and I don't think like the All-Star break is going to help them gel at all. I imagine none of these guys even spoke to one another. They might be doing reintroductions in practice. The Raptors should be looking to, keep themselves in the mix here as it relates to home court advantage in the Eastern Conference. If you look right now, we've shown it a few times, but those Eastern Conference standings, Toronto is... So listen, they're obviously still trying to also keep themselves out of the play-in, but they're not wildly far off a 4 seed in Cleveland or even, up there with Boston. I like the Raptors tonight. We're going to lay 6 here against Chicago. This Bulls team is an absolute mess. I really like Phoenix catching 7.5 against San Antonio. Now, it's a 7.5 at even money. You can get an 8 at minus 110. Technically, the 7.5 at even money would be the better bet. If you want to play the 8, totally get that. I don't mind it. But I'm just kind of letting you know that the 7.5 at even money would technically be considered the better bet. It's just what it is. Ultimately, as I went through and looked at the Suns here, how many times do you think Devin Booker has lost by 8 or more since December 1st? 22 games. How many times has Devin Booker lost by 8 or more? One time. One. On the year, Devin Booker, who has only played in 43 games, but I shouldn't say only, that's a good amount, okay? They've only lost by 8 or more 6 times. The Suns are the best team against the number in basketball by a lot. And I understand that Dylan Brooks is actually a relevant absence to this team. But if Devin Booker's out there, I'm going to give Phoenix a shot. The Spurs right now are on a 6-game winning streak. The Spurs are good, okay? But the 6 wins, the Magic are a mess. The Thunder benched everybody. Dallas stinks. They play Dallas again. The Lakers benched everybody. Golden State had no healthy bodies. This is a different type of team than that 6-game win streak provided. I'm going to back Phoenix plus the 7.5. Let's put best bets on the board. Next, it's Game Time Decisions.
The over in U.S. Latvia, that literally was, I don't like the term bad beat, but it's a bad beat when you have 2 goals overturned in the first period alone and you outshoot a team like 300-6 and you can't get it over. You can't get it over 6.5 and the game finishes 5-1. And similar situation with Germany and Denmark.
In-game live only on SportsGrid.
Class is in session. Today, let's talk about the teaser. A teaser is a multi-leg bet where you shift the point spread in your favor. You get better numbers, but every selection has to win. It doesn't matter what you bet if you don't have the insights. Tune into SportsGrid and get ahead of the class.
Do you have we don't know we're going to play an arbitration for our top pitcher in school ball. He gets the $30 million. You go and get Valdez, who's 32 years old, and you pay him 3 years, $115. Now you have a legitimate 1-2 punch and still have Flaherty in that lineup as well. If you're looking at a move singularly that I didn't expect to happen here and loved it, Detroit's move to get Framber Valdez, sensational for me.
Pro Baseball Today, only on SportsGrid.
One check, one stroke of a pen, $43 million that you now have to spend in free agency. Ain't it fun?
Yeah, you take the money out of the left pocket, you put it in the right pocket, basically, Donnie. But you also free up the ability to be able to sign other players. Nobody did this better than the Patriots and Tom Brady in his career, right?
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
Game Time Decisions. We're back right here on SportsGrid. I got to stop reading tweets in between. You know how people make a big, song and dance when they mute phrases and things like that on Twitter? I don't do that. I don't also really feel that it's necessary, considering right now for NBA draft and tanking ideas. They're all bad. Like, some of them come from places I respect. Like, oh, you can no draft, you tier deals. It all stinks. Stop. It's just not that bad. I'm about to defend the Jazz. I'm going to lose it. Like, most of these ideas are just so awful. Let's put some best bets on the board here from the fellas, okay? Of all the sides tonight, Suns plus the 7.5 is my favorite. I will tell you this. I played them all the same. We're getting involved with the NBA tonight. We played them all the same. If you said, hey, only one tonight, it'd be Suns plus the 7 and a hook, all right? Chris, with a little wraparound kind of here, it's each of the Hawks and Sixers to score 115 plus at minus 120. I actually don't think that that's getting too cute. He knows this. I tell him this. Sometimes I think it could be. Your total's 241.5. The game's pick, right? Are you getting through that number with one of these teams winning 130 to 110? That doesn't feel very likely. So at minus 120, even if it's a little pricey, I don't think that's bad. Okay, so Hawks, Sixers, each for plus 115 or 115 plus points. AJ with a Memphis USF over the 156.5. Is that what that number? Isn't that total much higher? Or am I crazy? Or can I not see? Is that 158.5? 158.5. We put the eyeballs to the test there a little bit. Did that number move, or am I insane? And that'd be great for AJ if it did. Oh my gosh. I gotta double check this. Let's double check this. Is AJ on the right side and one of the bigger line moves of the day? Live right now, the number's 163.5. So that's doing, I mean, I'm sure he still likes it, but wow, this total's been smashed. Absolutely blown to bits. Yeah. I mean, yeah, that's real. Listen, you guys know at Freezer Burn Bets. You see all the Twitter handles up there. He tweets these out. Wow, total's been absolutely smashed. And then Yarnell with like a Final Four preview, except it's college baseball. He's got Arizona baseball laying the 1.5 against UConn baseball. Now, it's gonna be very, very interesting. We could have a trend. We don't want to root this in, but yesterday Yarnell bet LSU minus the 5.5 on the college baseball board against Nichols. They won that game in covering fashion, 12-1. He then gave out a best bet. Not good. Today, he bet before the show Oregon Youngstown State over the number. Did he get that pick from Kevin Chris wager? Maybe. I don't know. But I do know he played the over. 13.5. It's 13-1. That's a winner. We're on high alert for Arizona UConn. It could be, and could be a lights too bright situation, right? Winners in the dark. It's right. That's where the winners are. I don't know. We're going to find out as a team. If that's the case, right? Hey, this is what people don't realize, okay? I'll say it for myself. Every night, I go unbeaten. It's just up to you to know whether you're backing or fading the picks. Like, I have 10 picks tonight, okay? You could go 10-0 on those picks. You just have to choose wisely. Right now, what we see, Sam, college baseball, pre-show, perfect, in-show, pending. That's what we know. Now, let me take a quick glance at the college baseball board as an elite college baseball handicapper and see if anything jumps out to me. BYU Omaha, Chris, 14.5 looks light. Looks really light, actually. Does Dybonsa play short or third base? We're going to get to the rest of the NBA card after a quick break with you right here on SportsGrid.
had the over in U.S. Latvia. That literally was, I don't like the term bad beat, but it's a bad beat when you have 2 goals overturned in the first period alone and you outshoot a team like 300-6 and you can't get it over. You can't get it over 6.5 and the game finishes 5-1. And similar situation with Germany and Denmark.
In-game live only on SportsGrid.
Class is in session. Today, let's talk about the teaser. A teaser is a multi-leg bet where you shift the point spread in your favor. You get better numbers, but every selection has to win. It doesn't matter what you bet if you don't have the insights. Tune into SportsGrid and get ahead of the class.
Do you have like, oh, well, we don't know we're going to play an arbitration for our top pitcher in school ball. He gets the $30 million. You go and get Valdez, who's 32 years old, and you pay 3 years, $115. Now you have a legitimate 1-2 punch and still have Flaherty in that lineup as well. If you're looking at a move singularly that I didn't expect to happen here and loved it, Detroit's move to get Framber Valdez, sensational for me.
Pro Baseball Today, only on SportsGrid.
One check, one stroke of a pen, $43 million that you now have to spend in free agency. Ain't it fun?
Yeah, you take the money out of the left pocket, you put it in the right pocket, basically, Donnie. But you also free up the ability to be able to sign other players. Nobody did this better than the Patriots and Tom Brady in his career, right?
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
Game Time Decisions. We are live on a Thursday night with you. Kevin Walsh here from the Decisions Desk as we take a look at an NBA slate tonight that is absolutely loaded for bear. 10 games, and I am betting all 10 of these games tonight. We have gone through a handful of them already, and with those about to tip off, let's just re-rack them again for the people. Sixers, Hawks, give me the Sixers on the Mooney line here. I think Philly bounces back at home. I know that last loss was a while ago, but they should still have somewhat of that bad taste in their mouth and look to get right in front of the home crowd. Hornets, Rockets, give me Charlotte plus 4.5. I understand still dealing with the suspensions, but this was one of the best teams in the NBA before the All-Star break, and they could still be that as the offense should hum here. I don't trust Houston. I do not trust the Rockets. I think some of that Durant stuff really could linger. It's weird, I know, but it's certainly on the board. Give me the Nets plus the 16.5. Big number here, but with Michael Porter Jr. back, I think it gives the Nets the chance to hang offensively with Cleveland, and with Evan Mobley back, I think the number could be a tick inflated. Eventually, the best version of the Cavs will obviously include Evan Mobley. I don't know if it will tonight, because with Harden out there, it's an adjustment for everyone. How does Harden play with Mobley? How does Mobley play with Harden? If you want to stagger those minutes, okay, what do those rotations look like here? Overpassing sometimes comes into play. Give me Brooklyn plus 16.5, and then give me the Wizards plus 2.5. Tank off. I don't think we should be laying points on the road with a team looking to lose. I know the Wizards are looking to lose. I'm not naive to that. So are the Pacers. Shouldn't be laying points on the road looking to lose. That's what the Pacers are. We take them with the Wizards. We're going to lay 3.5 with the New York Knicks. Got to have it game tonight here for New York. I know that's a 7:30 tip, but I think they have it against the Pistons. We mentioned we are laying 6 with Toronto, taking 7.5 with Phoenix, and now into your night slate. Golden State, Boston. I took plus 6.5 with the Golden State Warriors. Celtics are an interesting team here out of the break. Not heavily involved with All-Star Weekend, but Jaylen Brown, their best player, certainly was. We'll see how he comes off of one of his more marquee, if you will, in his career, probably the most of his All-Star Weekend appearances, a starter for the first time, a Golden State team that is desperate to give Steph something to actually come back to. And Steph is not ready to go just yet, but Kristaps Porzingis might be, and that alone is worth taking a chance here on Golden State at home going up against this Boston team at 6.5. I think this is worth a shot. Kings Magic. I almost didn't bet this game. Despite having the other all settled up, I was like, this is ugly. Then I actually ended up liking Sacramento quite a bit. I know that might be a tough task considering this team has lost 14 consecutive games and just shut down both Zach LaVine and Domantas Sabonis. One, I think there could be a bit of value in the recent news of LaVine and Sabonis' shutdowns. These guys haven't been playing. They haven't been contributing. There's a reason this team has only won 12 games this season. I am absolutely fine with the fact that those guys aren't out there. I don't trust them anyway. This is a Sacramento team who's been playing on the road a ton. 8 of their 11 most recent games have been on the road. During this losing streak here, only 6 of the 14 have been at home. Of their 3 most recent home games, those losses were by 6 or fewer. So I think Sacramento playing a Magic team who might have to do some crazy things this offseason, or they can just bury their heads in the sand, really pick your poison. I want nothing to do with Orlando. Paolo, are you guys like the Paolo theory of it's actually worse to half hit on an elite guy? I can say this. It's a safe space due to who is and who isn't here on this Thursday night. The conversations had in this office around Paolo Banchero are some of the craziest I've ever had to entertain. Ever. There were people so strong in their Paolo beliefs, they were convincing others to bet Paolo for MVP. And I was being told it was a better bet than Victor Wembanyama. Paolo Banchero actively stinks right now. Can anyone tell me what's going on with Franz Wagner? They're like, oh, he's missed 28 of the last 32 games. How is he randomly healthy for the 2 games they had scheduled overseas? How is he healthy to play in Germany? Is he healthy? Best of luck? I don't understand. Does he not want to be there? Remember the Desmond Bain deal that obviously was a ridiculous overpay in the moment that everybody told themselves was awesome because remember that? Does anybody even know what Desmond Bain's at? Is Anthony Black the best player on the Magic? What's happening? Admittedly, some of how I sound right now is tied to the nonsense I've listened to over the last 2 years. Okay? But goodness me. Does you trade Paolo? What's Paolo worth on the open market? You know how Trae Young and LaMelo and Ja Morant are all clearly talented, but there's injuries, and because of their size, it's can you win with them? So it's very hard to know, despite the fact that they're all-stars, what their trade value would be. Is Banchero going to become the first guy who's 6'10" and that applies to? Very weird times in Orlando. Certainly not laying 9 with them on the road. Denver, LA. I wish it was less. I still laid it with the Nuggets at 4.5. A lot of this has to actually do with being willing to fade the Clippers. Look, give Kawhi credit. He has put together a very, very good season. He also is a part of a team who sold at the deadline. And I tend to believe that the only reason Kawhi Leonard wasn't traded at the deadline is he and Bomber are in this together. Seems to be where we are right now. Otherwise, I don't really know why Kawhi is on this team. Somehow, despite all of his injuries, they very easily could have been able to get multiple first-round picks for Kawhi Leonard, it feels like, if they were willing to trade him. And they were willing to trade Harden, and But they traded Harden. We were like, that's because he's old, and they're not going to re-sign him. And Zubats is young, and they compare Garland. Wait, where'd he go? Indiana? Oh. And then Zubats is gone. And it's like, well, so they're going to trade Kawhi, right? Nope. Like, all right. This is, I don't know if they're tanking, but they're just not as good. This is a Denver Nuggets team who they were able to hold water while Nikola Jokic was out. Joker's come back. They have not looked as good as I think a lot of people wanted them to, but I think a lot of that was tied to the opponents. And I think here on the road, Jokic will be the best player on the court. He'll be the healthiest he has been since returning from injury. They cover the 4.5. So that's the NBA. Oh, this Jacob Bridgman ties Rory now for the 5-under lead. You got to be kidding me. Really? Let's get live round one leader odds before we get out of here. Hold on a second. Uh-oh. Rio is 5-1. Bridgman 6-1. Rory plus 145. How is that possible? What is Rio right now before we hit this quick commercial break, people? Is he like 4 under through 4? I don't even understand entirely. He's 4 under through 10. All right. Hold on a second. Hold. Don't go to break. Rory looking to par. Need it desperately. Get it. Baseball around the corner.
The over in U.S. Latvia. That literally was, I don't like the term bad beat, but it's a bad beat when you have 2 goals overturned in the first period alone and you outshoot a team like 300-6 and you can't get it over. You can't get it over 6.5 and the game finishes 5-1. And similar situation with Germany and Denmark.
In-game live only on SportsGrid.
Class is in session. Today, let's talk about the teaser. A teaser is a multi-leg bet where you shift the point spread in your favor. You get better numbers, but every selection has to win. It doesn't matter what you bet if you don't have the insights. Tune into SportsGrid and get ahead of the class.
You have like, oh, well, we don't know we're going to play an arbitration for our top pitcher in school ball. He gets the $30 million. You go and get Valdez, who's 32 years old, and you pay 3 years, $115. Now you have a legitimate 1-2 punch and still have Flaherty in that lineup as well. If you're looking at a move singularly that I didn't expect to happen here and loved it, Detroit's move to get Framber Valdez, sensational for me.
Pro Baseball Today, only on SportsGrid.
One check, one stroke of a pen, $43 million that you now have to spend in free agency. Ain't it fun?
Yeah, you take the money out of the left pocket, you put it in the right pocket, basically, Donnie. But you also free up the ability to be able to sign other players. Nobody did this better than the Patriots and Tom Brady in his career, right?
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
Game time decisions here on SportsGrid on a Thursday night. And we're now joined by Fredo Cervantes, who does work with the Sporting Tribune covering the Los Angeles Dodgers, a little bit of the Chargers as well. Fredo, we appreciate you joining us here on SportsGrid.
No problem, guys. Thank you guys for having me.
So the Dodgers are always the talk of the town, obviously, in a lot of different capacities, right? I'll ask you, what about the 2026, this coming season for the LA Dodgers, interests you the most?
I mean, just looking at what Shohei Ohtani has left in the tank to prove, because as of right now, in his first 2 seasons with the Dodgers, we've seen him accomplish in the first act in 2024 a 50-50 mark. One of the most incredible games when he played against the Miami Marlins, hit the 3 home runs to break that record. That was something that we've never seen before. Then last year, he just has an incredible run, leading the Dodgers to a back-to-back championship World Series, hitting in that game in the NLCS, 3 home runs, pitching 6 shutout innings. I mean, you see this man, Shohei Ohtani, do everything he possibly can. Now, there's only one more thing missing in his trophy case. It is that Cy Young Award. And that is something that he is really focused on. And again, the only way he can accomplish that is being able to stay healthy, pitch the right amount of innings, and again, be effective when he is on the mound. But that is something that we can, of course, look forward to in Shohei Ohtani, but we can also look forward to in how the Dodgers are possibly ruining baseball. I mean, that's the talk all around town, and is whether the Dodgers, are they right for baseball or are they wrong for baseball? In this case, Andrew Friedman, he says, hey, look, we're doing all the right things. Every other team is able as well to do what they are exactly doing right now, deferring the payments and all that. But right now, looking at what the Dodgers can do, can they accomplish the three-peat, something that hasn't been done in 25 years? That is something to be looking forward to.
So, Fredo, you kind of mentioned that elephant in the room that hangs over the Dodgers, where people absolutely love Shohei Ohtani. I think he has one of the highest approval ratings of any superstar across all of sports. But the Dodgers are becoming a bit of that evil empire, and this feels even different, where their actions feel tied to a lockout, and they seem to not care, if not even welcome it a little bit. What sense do you get from the Dodgers around all of this?
I mean, when you really look at what even Bryce Harper and Manny Machado, two of the top players in Major League Baseball, really patting the Dodgers on the back for what they're doing, and again, that's maybe a sign of them trying to speak up to their own management and teams, like, hey guys, let's keep up with the Dodgers, let's do what the Dodgers are doing, maybe we can compete with them. But again, the Dodgers, what they're getting right now in the feel around the clubhouse is like the guys aren't worried about that. Like, they don't listen to the outside noise. I mean, yeah, you can see everything going up on social media, but does it affect the guys? No. I mean, the guys, all they're worrying about, they're not even thinking about last year. I mean, the other day I was talking to Miguel Rojas in a clubhouse on last weekend, and just talking to him about the 2025 World Series, his biggest performance in Game 6, Game 7, and he's like, that's in the back page. Now I'm looking forward to what's ahead of us, and they're looking out there to go hunt. They're hunting out there. They're looking. Everyone seems to have a bullseye behind their back. Every single team in Major League Baseball, according to just what the Dodgers are feeling right now. But they don't really care about the noise. They're just focused on accomplishing something that hasn't been done in 25 years.
So one of the ways they hope to accomplish that is through this addition of Kyle Tucker. Do we have an early sense of, hey, Tucker in the 2-hole, or how they think he is going to be positively impacting this Dodgers team?
Yeah, I mean, right now it seems like Kyle Tucker is going to be sliding in the 2 spot, having Mookie Betts follow up on the 3 spot, and Freddie Freeman at the 4 spot. And is that the right move? I mean, Dave Roberts, what he's been doing with this team over the last 10 years here, one of these things is he does not like the left, right kind of thing. He likes to go ahead and mix it up all the time. He likes to go left, right, or at times back-to-back righties. I mean, in this case, you can just see the type of player that Kyle Tucker is. You know that he can hit the left-handed pitchers out there, and you see that what Ohtani can do at the top with Tucker. Now you're going to see, like, okay, you might not want to pitch to Tucker with the man on base, so you're going to give Ohtani maybe something more to look at. And yeah, you don't want to give Kyle Tucker something to hit, because then you got Mookie Betts, Freddie Freeman, Max Muncy following up behind that. And the trickle down effect on this lineup, which they don't really take a hit till they hit the 9th spot, or maybe even the 8th spot, depending on how Andy Pages returns this season after pretty much a great second half last year. But looking at what Tucker does to this lineup, it's going to be one of the most incredible things that we can possibly see, and how dynamic an offensive lineup can possibly be. be. I mean, because we look at it on paper right now. You see that lineup there? Yeah, we can go ahead and, predict what they can really do, but just getting the sense from the players, getting the sense that they don't fear any pitching. They're just out there having fun, and that's something that a lot of other teams out there just they don't go out there and have fun. Some other teams just go out there and there's just pressure behind them. They're looking for contracts and coaching, management. It's just a lot that comes with that. But with this team right now, Kyle Tucker stepped up in front of the clubhouse the other day, and he just spoke up why he joined the Dodgers. He said that he wants to play, in late October, and he wants to try something new, and he's just excited to be part of this type of organization that just it's all about winning. It's all about winning out here in Los Angeles.
Yeah, it certainly seems to be. Fredo, we only got about probably 30 seconds left here. Do you think everyone's going to have a close eye as well on Ohtani in the WBC? Maybe a little sigh of relief that he's not pitching?
Yes, I mean that's a big one right there, and I know the Dodgers were kind of pushing on that. They're like they don't want him to go out there and pitch meaningful innings because again we saw what he did in 2023 a few years ago. But thankfully he's not going to be pitching. He's going to save that arm. He is not going to be pitching in the Cactus League in this upcoming week. He will be hitting starting on Saturday. He will be starting at DH.
All right, amazing. Fredo Cervantes, Sporting Tribune, does excellent work covering the LA Dodgers, who, of course, are the talk of the town. We appreciate it. We'll be right back here on SportsGrid after a quick break.
You had the over in U.S. Latvia. That literally was, I don't like the term bad beat, but it's a bad beat when you have 2 goals overturned in the first period alone and you outshoot a team like 300-6 and you can't get it over. You can't get it over 6.5 and the game finishes 5-1. And similar situation with Germany and Denmark.
In-game live only on SportsGrid.
Class is in session. Today, let's talk about the teaser. A teaser is a multi-leg bet where you shift the point spread in your favor. You get better numbers, but every selection has to win. It doesn't matter what you bet if you don't have the insights. Tune into SportsGrid and get ahead of the class.
Do you have we don't know we're going to play an arbitration for our top pitcher in school ball. He gets the $30 million. You go and get Valdez, who's 32 years old, and you pay him 3 years, $115. Now you have a legitimate 1-2 punch and still have Flaherty in that lineup as well. If you're looking at a move singularly that I didn't expect to happen here and loved it, Detroit's move to get Framber Valdez, sensational for me.
Pro Baseball Today, only on SportsGrid.
One check, one stroke of a pen, $43 million that you now have to spend in free agency. Ain't it fun?
Yeah, you take the money out of the left pocket, you put it in the right pocket, basically, Donnie. But you also free up the ability to be able to sign other players. Nobody did this better than the Patriots and Tom Brady in his career, right?
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
All right, back right here on a Thursday night, giving you updates on the Genesis Invitational. Maybe a little selfish that I'm updating this as much as I am because I actually have Rory as a round 1 leader. He is no longer the favorite. In fact, he is nowhere near the favorite now because he is likely going to be bogeying 16. He had a terrible, terrible shot where he was trying to save par. Jacob Bridgman will have a chance at a birdie. He sits plus 220. And then Rio is 4 under with a lot to play. So that can kind of go two ways, right? But Rory now is going to, certainly for a little bit here, give up the joint lead and could easily be 2 shots back by the time he goes out there for his 17th hole, which is a par 5. So that's going to have to be a bird. That's going to have to be a bird. So we're keeping up. Now, here's the other big update. And it now feels a little different. What's going on with Scottie Scheffler? Like, we talk about free money, top 5s, top 10s, top 20s, right? Scottie, round 1 score under is, easy as you like, right? Or over, I should say. Scottie is 2 over through 7, sitting 7 shots off the lead. And again, I understand it's like, oh, that's not that many, but this right now isn't a course where guys are playing it 10 under or so. Beautiful. Beautiful. Scottie Scheffler is plus 850 to win this tournament. Like, they're not giving you an inch. Plus 170 for a top 5, minus 130 for a top 10. Here's the thing. You look at the minus 300 top 20, you're like, okay, parlay piece, right? Is it? Is that good value? We were talking about plus 110 last Thursday. I think, if anything, it's a little validating as to why we discussed Scottie as extensively as we did last Thursday. Just very rare numbers for Scottie Scheffler. Gosh almighty, Rory. Just gives it away. We'll see if he can go low on the last 2. Bridgman's going to go into the clubhouse at 5 under, though. So maybe you can get a piece of it with Rory. Ryan Fox is here in the mix now. Guys are in the mix, right? Like, the odds, the reason the odds were treating it like this was over is because it was someone of Rory's caliber. But there's still a lot of golf that needs to be played. Updates on the men's college side here. They're still scoring at App State Marshall, even though that's at the half, 52-41. Memphis, South Florida's got some pretty good pace to it, 41 points, 9 minutes in. Update on Austin P. Here we go. Not great. They're losing outright to North Florida. The Will Ospreys up 23-17. So you're going to need, you got 17, need 26 in under 8 minutes. That's not great. They're 1 of 7 from beyond the arc. Yeah, it's not great. All right. It's not great. We're gonna hand up. It has nothing to do with me. It's not great. It's not great. All right. Quick live updates on your NBA board. We got Craig Mish joining us in just a couple of minutes here. Really excited to talk to Craig. Major League Baseball tomorrow. Spring training begins. Hawks up by 2 early on Philly in a low-scoring start. Hey, you got to rope him in. Kevin Durant's out there playing by himself. That's hilarious. He's got 10 of Houston's 23. Charlotte with 31. They lead by 8. That's great. Zards up 5 on the Indiana Pacers. They flipped to live favorites in that game. Brooklyn will be lucky to leave the first quarter covering the 16.5. Honestly, who is responsible for that pick? Like, really? Me is the answer to that question. They can't guard, can't score. Other than that, things look great for the Brooklyn Nets. Man, oh, man. Let's get Craig Mish in the mix after a break here. Oh, we got to update the college baseball. Hold on. We'll get to that after the break, too. Can't wait for that update.
had the over in U.S. Latvia, that literally was, I don't like the term bad beat, but it's a bad beat when you have 2 goals overturned in the first period alone and you outshoot a team like 300-6 and you can't get it over. You can't get it over 6.5 and the game finishes 5-1. And similar situation with Germany and Denmark.
In-game live only on SportsGrid.
Class is in session. Today, let's talk about the teaser. A teaser is a multi-leg bet where you shift the point spread in your favor. You get better numbers, but every selection has to win. It doesn't matter what you bet if you don't have the insights. Tune into SportsGrid and get ahead of the class.
You have like, oh, well, we don't know we're going to play an arbitration for our top pitcher in school ball. He gets the $30 million. You go and get Valdez, who's 32 years old, and you pay 3 years, $115. Now you have a legitimate 1-2 punch and still have Flaherty in that lineup as well. If you're looking at a move singularly that I didn't expect to happen here and loved it, Detroit's move to get Framber Valdez, sensational for me.
Pro Baseball Today, only on SportsGrid.
One check, one stroke of a pen, $43 million that you now have to spend in free agency. Ain't it fun?
Yeah, you take the money out of the left pocket, you put it in the right pocket, basically, Donnie. But you also free up the ability to be able to sign other players. Nobody did this better than the Patriots and Tom Brady in his career, right?
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
Game time decision, SportsGrid with you on a Thursday night. Kevin Walsh joined by Craig Mish. Craig, of course, does an excellent job on Newswire, but is also a very plugged-in Major League Baseball beat reporter. Craig, how are you enjoying your last kind of final moments of, I guess, what would be considered the off-season, right?
Yeah, look, I spend a lot of my time focusing on football during the off-season, doing shows like these and certainly on Newswire all the time. As soon as that ends, look, I like March Madness and I fill out brackets. That's true. But this year with the World Baseball Classic and then, of course, the baseball season beginning, I'm involved in a very different way than most people are with baseball, and in particular, obviously, with the Marlins, and way more than most people are involved in baseball. And that won't change this year. In fact, it'll probably be more. So that being said, I think what you're saying is fair. I think it is correct. So spring training is here. I have some games coming up on radio that I'll be calling this season for the broadcast network. Yeah, so it's definitely a lot, and I'm excited for it, but certainly excited to bring all my baseball knowledge and information to SportsGrid like I have for the last, 7-8 years.
So, Craig, I want to start with a story that is well above my head. And you sometimes can do an excellent job just really like dumbing these things down. It's like, here's what's relevant. The Tony Clark Players Association, I don't even really, I could set it up, but I don't want to be leading. Like, where are you at with this whole situation right now for Major League Baseball?
Yeah, well, look, Tony Clark stuff aside, as far as everything that is being reported with relationships and proprieties and all that, I don't know, Kevin. That's not really relevant to our conversation, right? Because he's out now, right? So that's it. So the question is, would Tony Clark have done as good of a job as the head of the Players Association than Bruce Meyer? I'm not sure that answer is yes. I think Bruce Meyer is an attorney. He's been through this before. He's been through a lot of labor agreements, and I think the Players Association will be just as strong, if not stronger, even with the interim tag that Bruce Meyer has. So I don't think it's a win. I don't think it's a loss. But anyone who tells you that one way or the other, this makes a huge difference in the collective bargaining or anything to come up with the upcoming labor agreements or CBA would be foolish in saying so. I think that probably Bruce Meyer will be as good, if not better, in his role than Tony Clark was. And so they'll move forward with him.
One conversation we were having is with kind of someone else taking over. I was wondering, this might be silly, will they be more incentivized to avoid a lockout because they were like, it could get, even if wrongly, like, see, this guy was unprepared, it's his fault for the lockout, and they don't want to shoulder that blame. Do you think this impacts the likelihood of the lockout one way or another?
No, not at all.
Okay.
I think what has been reported, and I do think is factual, is that the owners and the league will be seeking a salary cap, and in exchange for the salary cap, I believe they will be seeking a salary floor, and the players will probably not accept that, and that's going to be the cusp of this fight that the labor is going to go through here this year. That's it.
Mhm.
I think it really is going to come down to that, Kevin.
Okay. I mean, listen, I think it's really interesting, right? I mean, it's a bit of a shame that that's where we are. And do you think, Craig, it will be a cloud over the season, this lockout stuff? Or do you think that it'll be July and we can kind of be blissfully ignorant about it?
Look, I think there'll be a point in the season, especially after the All-Star break, where there's just so little going on, because we're going to hear about negotiations, Kevin. They're not going to, I don't think, stop negotiating. There's going to be constant negotiating to avoid this happening in November or December. But I think we'll have an enjoyable season. I think that it'll be in the back burner. It'll be a discussion for sure. And when there's downtime and it's slow, there may be some topics to come up, and then it'll heat up, of course, closer to the end of the season and free agency as well. As soon as the postseason ends, naturally, that'll be it. And look, I'm hopeful that there is no lockout, and I'm hopeful it doesn't come to that. It sure feels like there will be a lockout of some kind. I don't know if it'll be a month, a day, a year, or whatever it is. It does feel like, though, we are headed toward that, unless something gets done between now and October.
The thing that, and again, I'm very honest about this, right? Of like, I know what I don't know, but the thing that doesn't sit right with me is it feels as if the Dodgers know that they can somewhat tip the scales on if we do or do not have one. And they almost seem to be like, you know what'll be fun? Make it obvious they need a lockout. Like now maybe it's big picture, Craig, better. Like, hey, they lock out and they figure it all out here, but it does feel like everything the Dodgers are doing since Dave Roberts took that microphone when they won the NLCS, right? Like, I cannot believe there's a team who's championing, like, yep, we're the lockout team. Like, we're the ones ruining the sport. Like, that is a label usually given that nobody won, and they somehow are, like, turning it into who they are. It's very bizarre to me.
Yeah, look, there's been some reporting that has said that they tipped the scales. I think with the last signing with Tucker, I think to a degree that's accurate. I think it's egregious is the word probably for it. They've gone so far through those tax 1 barriers and 2 and 3 and 6 and whatever it is. But Kevin, let's not get this twisted. There are 30 owners in Major League Baseball, and the Dodgers, when it comes down to, and look, I don't know this to be factual. I'm just going to take a very well-educated guess here. When they're all sitting in the room, Kevin, the Dodgers are not going to vote for a salary cap and a salary floor. I'm going to guess that they're not going to. It is going to negatively affect their franchise because they're going to have to punt some players over the next couple of years. But overwhelmingly, I'm going to guess, Kevin, that the majority of the owners in Major League Baseball are going to vote for the salary cap and the salary floor before it goes to the players to say, hey, look, this is what we want. Because that has to get done first before it goes there. And Kevin, the Dodgers, I'm going to guess, will not be among those teams that is like, yeah, sure, let's just stop spending and let's just have this floor and cap so we have to kind of compete with everybody else. They're not going to want to do that.
Do you, Craig, because I guess with salary caps, my mind goes to the NBA, but I guess in the NFL, this isn't the case. Do you think within baseball, the length of contracts will be impacted at all within a salary cap, or they'll let that, you can do the 10, 15-year deal, all good?
Look, I do think that there'll be some impact, but I think it'll be positively impact if this comes in, because I think that you're going to see teams as soon as free agency opens, if there's a cap and a floor, have to spend to the floor. And so players who necessarily wouldn't have gotten paid certain amounts of money are going to now, because teams are going to have to secure their free agents to get to the floor. Very similar to the National Football League, when you see every 3 or 4 years Carolina spending like crazy, or the Saints spending like crazy, or the Jaguars spending like crazy. We're talking about three of the bottom team, Green Bay, in terms of their market size, you know? And
Yeah.
so I think that will happen with baseball as well. It'll be very surprising to see Cleveland and Tampa Bay and Pittsburgh and some of these other teams immediately when free agency opens. Boom, Kevin, signing, to your point, 4-year deal, 140 million. Wow, where did that come from? Well, because you have a floor, you have to do it.
Yeah, it's it's an interesting time, man. I hope we can enjoy the season, but it does also feel like Dodgers start 14-2, and it's going to be like, I think we're going to keep Craig around. I want to just throw a couple of World Baseball Classic things at him. We also saw the Open, as we mentioned a few days ago, the NFL win totals, just some NFL early stuff that we can get into the mix with here as we try and root in good old Rory McIlroy for a round one lead. It's Game Time Decisions on SportsGrid.
You had the over in U.S. Latvia. That literally was, I don't like the term bad beat, but it's a bad beat when you have 2 goals overturned in the first period alone and you outshoot a team like 300-6, and you can't get an over. You can't get an over 6.5, and the game finishes 5-1. And similar situation with Germany and Denmark.
In-game live only on SportsGrid.
Class is in session. Today, let's talk about the teaser. A teaser is a multi-leg bet where you shift the point spread in your favor. You get better numbers, but every selection has to win. It doesn't matter what you bet if you don't have the insights. Tune into SportsGrid and get ahead of the class.
You have like, we don't know, we're going to play an arbitration for our top pitcher in school ball. He gets the $30 million. You go and get Valdez, who's 32 years old, and you pay 3 years, $115. Now you have a legitimate 1-2 punch and still have Flaherty in that lineup as well. If you're looking at a move singularly that I didn't expect to happen here and loved it, Detroit's move to get Framber Valdez, sensational for me.
Pro Baseball Today, only on SportsGrid.
One check, one stroke of a pen, $43 million that you now have to spend in free agency. Ain't it fun?
Yeah, you take the money out of the left pocket, you put it in the right pocket, basically, Donnie. But you also free up the ability to be able to sign other players. Nobody did this better than the Patriots and Tom Brady in his career, right?
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
All right, Game Time Decisions. We're here on SportsGrid on a Thursday. We're joined by Craig Mish. We're talking some Major League Baseball. We've got the World Baseball Classic looming. I guess what I'll ask you, Craig, just to step back a little bit from the lockout that looms. Tomorrow we're going to see spring training games. Yep. Is there anything that guys like yourself or around the league are going to be keeping a watchful eye on during spring training?
Look, I think that we kind of teased it before, but obviously the World Baseball Classic changes the complete dynamic of spring training at this point. It gives a lot of players that wouldn't get necessarily opportunities to play a chance. All these teams are going to be reporting next week to their different campsites, whether it's in Arizona or in Florida. And so you're going to get a lot of younger players playing in some of these games. So, Kevin, that's probably, I think, more of the ongoing hot topic is the World Baseball Classic and the fact that you're going to see competitive baseball in March. And then obviously hoping that everybody is healthy, going back to their teams, and then finishing off spring training and getting to the regular season. But there isn't necessarily, for me at least, like a key battle or a player or two, a rookie or somewhere along those lines. The Pirates have a young player that I think everybody wants to see. But generally speaking, it's kind of business as usual with that 2-3 week gap of having the WBC in the middle.
By the way, before we get out of here tonight, there's going to be another big Scotty update. That's just my assumption based on a comment I heard in the back. So we'll get to that in a minute. Craig, as far as it relates to the World Baseball Classic, is the eye just on really competitive? You know, everybody is sending as good of a team as they can baseball, or is there doesn't need to be more to it than that? But like, is there more to it than that?
No, I think this is going to be the most popular event of the year outside of maybe the Super Bowl or the Final Four or something like that. I think that the semifinals in Miami and the finals are going to be maybe the most watched baseball games until we get to the postseason this year. Everybody that wants to play is in this thing. I know we've had some dropouts, and certainly there were some teams I think that had better odds a month ago than they do now because of that, but I don't think that takes away from it. You have the United States, you have Japan, you have the Dominican Republic, Venezuela. Certainly, there are other teams that are going to be involved in it as well, but I think I just named the majority of the teams that I think have a real good shot to win. And if history tells us anything, we're going to get a big upset, right? Like, we're going to get one of those 3-1 games, shocking that all of a sudden the team gets knocked out, and that's what makes it fun. There's just something about these guys, Kevin, playing for their countries that they want to be in. I don't know, you probably didn't catch this, but I'll tell you like a 30-second story here. So on Newswire last week, we had a player by the name of Troy Johnston on my show. Troy played for the Marlins, and then he was dealt to the Rockies in the offseason, and all of a sudden he just showed up on Team Israel's roster. So naturally he played on the Marlins, and I'm texting him. I'm like, "Are you Jewish? Like, what is going on here? Like, how are you playing?" And he said that he really wanted to play in the World Baseball Classic, Kevin. So what he had to do is he had to show the certificate from his grandmother's bat mitzvah, and that got him 25% in, and that was enough to make the cut to play in the WBC. True story.
That's cool. I think they were showing me like some of these guys are. It's like the old like 1980s joke, right? Like Jordan played against plumbers and accountants, and it's like, no, some of these guys like real day jobs, like firefighters and things of that nature.
It's gonna be fun. Can't wait.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. Craig also, of course, here on SportsGrid does a great job with FST, and we're now into this NFL offseason. Some sports books releasing some of these win totals. You can kind of tell with how similar a lot of the numbers are that these are just almost put the numbers out. If you love it, go for it, right? But who really loves anything now beyond saying they love something? I'm curious, though, Craig, even kind of through that fantasy lens, because we know it translates onto the field. Are there any of these early names that we're hearing agency-wise that are really fascinating to you, whether it be Mike Evans in Tampa Bay, seemingly Ken Walker leaving Seattle is going to be inevitable?
Yeah. So, what I try to do with the win totals, Kevin, is I try to basically identify a team that's really just not on the radar coming off a bad year that makes a big jump. I did that 2 years ago with Washington. That was a good call. I did that all over this network, even picked up to go to the Super Bowl, and it was kind of close. And then I did that with Jacksonville this year, and that hit too. It's going to be a popular pick, but I'm going to be probably on board with everybody else in thinking that the Giants are probably going to be the team that's going to make a big jump, I think, this season. I don't love Jackson Dart, but I just think that with the coach, with the quarterback, with the receivers, with the defense that they've built, they would really have to fall over themselves to me, Kevin, and not win 10, 11 games. So I think that's the team to watch if they were able to add a couple of more pieces. In a division, let's be honest, are the Eagles, your Eagles, are they still on the rise? Where are the Cowboys? Where's Washington after this past season? I could see the Giants being right in the mix to challenge potentially to go all the way to the NFC Championship. And I think that's the one team I'm keeping an eye on.
It's fascinating because I think, and I know people will subscribe this to me being an Eagle fan. I swear it's not that. I don't know why I do not feel like they have had a good start to this offseason. The Harbaugh stuff is not. It's like, oh, he's just going to come in. It's going to be a smooth operation. not even remotely how it's gone since he's got there. I'm not entirely convinced he likes Jackson Dart. To be honest with you,
I
Craig.
don't love Jackson Dart. Yeah, I don't love.
How are we winning 10, 11 games? We don't like the quarterback.
Yeah, but how do they win 10, 11 games with Lamar Jackson missing 5, 6 games?
Because Lamar Jackson's is incredible, and that puts him at like 8 right away.
Right, but he missed games, and whoever was the backup, Huntley or RG3, even in the past, they still ended up winning. Harbaugh is a top 5, top 3 coach in the National Football League, and I do think that with Neighbors coming back and the pieces that they added in the offseason, you can still. I'm not saying they're going to win a Super Bowl, Kevin, but what's their win total sitting at? I don't know. Is it 8.5?
I'll pull it up quickly. I mean, you are, and by the way, I think you would probably be closer to the consensus, higher on Harbaugh's head coach ranking than I would be.
Okay, look, that's fair. That's why we're here.
Right. The Giants right now are a 7.5 with plus money towards the over.
Yeah, I would think the Giants could go 8 and 9.
What I would say is, and they could go 8 and 9. What I would just say is, Harbaugh, year in and year out with Baltimore, has merely met expectations. And the expectations in New York are 8, 9, 9, and 8. Not 10, 11, deep run. I don't know. Giants fans are also like, hey, we're not going to be a laughing stock anymore. It's like,
I get it. But Kevin, there's going to be a team that's going to make a big jump.
No doubt.
That's who we have to figure out. Someone.
No doubt. Just not sure it's them. Craig, appreciate it as always. We'll be right back here on Sports.
You had the over in U.S. Latvia. That literally was, I don't like the term bad beat, but it's a bad beat when you have 2 goals overturned in the first period alone and you outshoot a team like 300-6 and you can't get it over. You can't get it over 6.5 and the game finishes 5-1. And similar situation with Germany and Denmark.
In-game live only on SportsGrid.
Class is in session. Today, let's talk about the teaser. A teaser is a multi-leg bet where you shift the point spread in your favor. You get better numbers, but every selection has to win. It doesn't matter what you bet if you don't have the insights. Tune into SportsGrid and get ahead of the class.
Do you have like, oh, well, we don't know, we're going to play an arbitration for our top pitcher in school ball. He gets the $30 million. You go and get Valdez, who's 32 years old, and you pay 3 years, $115. Now you have a legitimate 1-2 punch and still have Flaherty in that lineup as well. If you're looking at a move singularly that I didn't expect to happen here and loved it, Detroit's move to get Framber Valdez, sensational for me.
Pro Baseball Today, only on SportsGrid.
One check, one stroke of a pen, $43 million that you now have to spend in free agency. Ain't it fun?
Yeah, you take the money out of the left pocket, you put it in the right pocket, basically, Donnie. But you also free up the ability to be able to sign other players. Nobody did this better than the Patriots and Tom Brady in his career, right?
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
With this Rory's McIlroy. He spun it the wrong way. I know we're back. You think I don't know we're back? I'm always back. All right, so realistically, Rory's going to have to probably 2-putt for par. Probably. Okay. Scotty Scheffler double bogeyed and is 4 over.
Now, he may have just hit a good shot because some of his numbers moved. But he is currently 16-1 to win this tournament. 5th best odds on the board. He is right now minus 155 for a top 20. That is the 7th shortest odds on the board. Now, we can, I believe the case to make on that top 20 price not feeling super fair is last week was a signature event. So, stronger field, maybe it's harder to climb back. They don't really send scrubs to Riviera, to be fair. I mean, Scheffler is a shot up on, incredibly, Keegan Bradley for dead last, which is remarkable in its own right. What I would say, though, is, and I know this may not be, well, no, I think it is helpful advice. Like last week, we talked about those 30s and 40s on Scotty being super tempting. At the time, the live favorite, I'm pretty sure was Chris Gotterup at 9-1. Rory is the live favorite at plus 340. It kind of makes me believe that this Scotty Scheffler live number is the single worst number of the season. And it says, and it kind of answers a little bit of the question of how the books felt about probably a very scary Sunday, right? Where you're dealing with a ton of Scheffler liability before the tournament and then loads of Scheffler liability in tournament, where they are not interested in bringing you in at 30 or 40, and they might even believe they don't need to get you in at that price. Like, ultimately, I think after these past couple of weeks, Scotty could be 12 off the lead on Saturday at 60-1. People will click. That's what I would believe right now. So, if you're looking for a good Scheffler number, you are going to have to be patient. Really, really patient. I mean, you want to talk about patience. Our team in the back is going to have to take it easy. A climb back from Houston down at one point by 11 to Charlotte. They are battling now to see if they could grab what would be, and they have their first lead of this game. We're on the Hornets plus 4.5. We're back and forth here now in the second quarter of Sixers-Hawks. That pace is picking up a little bit right now. 39-38 Atlanta leads. Cleveland and Brooklyn are trading triples. I am well aware we are up against it. The Cavs have already flashed a 23-point lead, led by 18, more than doubling up Brooklyn in that first quarter. James Harden right now with 8 points and a made three, doing a lot in the assist category with 5. Jared Allen continues to score quite easily with James Harden in the lineup. He's got 11 points. He's attempted 10 free throws already. 5, though, only made thus far. The Wizards are trying to hold on to a first-half lead right now, 49-40. Or maybe they're not trying to hold on to it, I guess, right? But they still have one, 49-46, up on the Indiana Pacers, with a player currently leading the scoring for them, who I do not know. And a 9-2 early Knicks lead has already been given back because they might be incredibly soft. The rest of the NBA card, Raptors minus the 6, Suns plus the 7.5, Kings plus the 9, Warriors plus the 6.5, Nuggets minus the 4.5. In-game live is next for you right here on SportsGrid.